Good morning. How is everybody? Are we good? We made it to Wednesday. Isn't that exciting? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Okay, so today, oh my gosh, lots of people this morning. Hi. Okay, so today we're going to do the greenery at the very, very bottom, okay? I actually had a plan for this one, for the leaves, but now I'm looking at them thinking that, I don't know, because there's a lot of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10. And I wanted to do the fishbone stitch for this, but now I'm thinking, no, because there's a lot. So, I'll actually let you guys choose. Do you want to do a two-toned satin stitch with the colors that we used already? Or do you want to learn a new stitch, which is the fishbone stitch? So today we're going to do a brick stitch for the stems, and I'll let you have a think. And then when we get to the leaves, it's either a satin stitch with two colors, meaning the top is going to be a color and the bottom is going to be a color, or all one color and learn a new stitch, which is the fishbone. I'll let you choose. I'm happy to do both, but there are 10 leaves, and the fishbone stitch does take longer than sometimes you would like, if you know what I mean. So, okay, let's do the brick stitch first, and then I'll let you guys have a think about that. Because honestly, both of them will look great. It's just whether you want to do it or not. Have I forgotten some stitches down here? Oh my gosh, I've got 3 left. Okay, so for the first thing is we're going to do a brick stitch, which is just a back stitch, 2 rows, and instead of lining them up like this, okay, we're going to line them up like this. So they're going to look like bricks. Okay, so if you think about bricks, you never stick the bricks right on top of each other so that the lines will meet up. They're always offset so that one brick is like this. Yeah, this is a brick. And then the next brick is in the middle, starts in the middle of that first brick. Okay, so first we're going to do a back stitch all the way down and kind of keep it to the one side, if you know what I mean. So if you want to start on the left side, you can start on the left side. I'm going to start at the bottom actually. But kind of keep it to one side. Don't do it right down the middle. Okay? And you can make these super big if you want to, because it is quite a straight stem. Okay, or you can make them a little bit smaller and kind of look at that texture that they bring. So I'm going to make them about this long so that you can see them a little bit better. Okay, and let's put it in the middle. And I'm using 4 strands of the color 214. So we used this color for the light color of our snake plant. Okay, so we're using 4 strands of 214. And the brick stitch. So we're going to do a regular old back stitch. We're going to try and make all of our stitches the exact same length. And the brick stitch doesn't actually come in until the second lap around, if you know what I mean. So this part is just a regular back stitch. Nothing fancy about this one. One of my favorite greens. I know, Hannah. I do love this color too, though. It's so pretty. It's like a perfect, like, minty green. I always think when I tighten that, you guys are going to think I farted, and I definitely didn't. I just tightened the thing. So there you go. Okay, now when we go back down, we're going to do the brick stitch. My hair is falling out. Okay, so let me just zoom in a little bit more. And what I do for the brick stitch is we're going to go from the middle, a row over, not the same row, okay? So we're not going through the stitches, just next to, for the next row down, we're going to go from the middle of this one. So right next to it, yeah, but your stitch is going to start in this, like in the middle, in the center. So there's one stitch. Okay, so your next stitch is going to be, again, from the middle of this one. Come on. Don't be sassy with me this morning. Already it's been eventful. A cat came into our backyard and peed on our garden furniture. I was like, thank you. Thanks for that. So normally it doesn't go into our backyard. Normally it just walks along the fence to get to other people's backyards. But today it decided to stop and take a leak. So it's been eventful. So there we go. So this is how we get the brick stitch. So do you see how these ones, this stitch is in the middle of that one, this stitch is in the middle of that one, this stitch is in the middle of that one. So we're just using the first line that we stitched as a kind of guide to make the rest of the stitches. Cats are so sassy. Oh my God, they are. Honestly, and I got it on video as well because about 3 weeks ago, I was sat here at my desk right here, and the door is right there, so I can see straight out. I was sitting there, and it was about 5 o'clock. So it wasn't dark yet. It was just, you know, like a little, like starting to get a little bit dark. And I kid you not, a fox walked right past the door. The door was open and everything. Jessie was upstairs with David. And I was like, oh, where's my phone? I need to take a video. Oh my gosh, a fox is in my backyard. Oh my gosh. Scared the living bejesus out of me. But, oh my goodness. I was like, I need to get a video of this. Obviously, I didn't because it just ran across and ran away. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get it. So when I saw the cat, I was like, oh, something's moving. I need to get my video. I need to get my camera. So you can stop at 2 if you're happy with 2, or if you have a thicker stem, you can do 3 rows. So we've done 2 rows so far. So if you really want to, you can do another row and make it 3. Okay, but 2 is also fine. If you're like, nah, that's thick enough, then you can do 2. So I feel like the consensus is you would like to learn the fishbone stitch. Is that correct? I think I saw a lot of people say that they wanted to learn the fishbone stitch. So I will do that right after this. Like I've got a commercial or something. Right after this, we'll get started on the fishbone stitch. Ridiculous. Yep, that's absolutely fine. They do take longer, which is the only reason why I was like, oh, I don't know if they're going to like this, because these big flowers here also take a bit of time. So I didn't want to put 2 days that are like really heavy right next to each other, if you know what I mean. But I'm happy to do it because I actually really like teaching that stitch. Oh man, this is gonna, okay, let's go here. Because we're going straight over this one. Okay, so with the fishbone stitch, I teach it a little bit different than other people teach it. So you can do the fishbone stitch on all of them, or you can do them only on some of them. Totally up to you, whatever you feel like. If you're like, wow, Tori, this takes ages, you were correct. And you want to give up, then just do it on a couple, you know, just to try it and see if you like it. So let's finish this. I've done the 2 rows. Okay, and then I'm just going to get a little piece of paper over here because I like to make it a little bit bigger so you can see it first before I draw it on the small little leaves that we have here. Okay, it's not going to take long, I promise. All right, so I've got my little pad here. Let's get a pencil or a mark, whatever. Okay, let's do this way. Okay, so with the fishbone stitch, we've got our leaves. Okay, there's kind of two ways that you can do it. I'll teach both ways and show both ways. Okay, so I'll do the way that people normally do it, and then the first way, and then the second way. So we've got our 3 leaves, all right? Normally, how people do it is they do a line down the middle, and they take, you can start on the right or the left, and they cross, okay? So normally people will establish how kind of deep they want their, you know how we did the satin stitch, and we said the lines on the side should go like that. That's the direction of the stitch. So for this one, you can decide how deep you want it. So do you want a really deep angle like this? Or do you want a really like shallow angle like this? Both are okay. So normally people go like this. So you take your stitch all the way to the side, all the way to the outside edge. And then you come up here all the way to the outside edge. And then you continue that all the way down, keeping the same angle, kind of like the satin stitch. You keep the same angle. Okay, and it makes this like crossy line down the middle. All right, so I do it a little bit differently. So I do a line down the middle, and then I do a line on each side. Okay, so the first way is I do a tiny little stitch at the top, and then you go just to that line. 1, you're saving thread because you don't have to kind of double layer all of this. And 2, it makes it really easy to know where your next stitch is going to go. So you almost pretend that you've got a little line here, and you can line it up straight with that one stitch. So all of your stitches will go from the outside edge to this line. Okay? And you can tell they're almost, you want them to kind of almost be a line there. So that's how you know, hi George. That's how you know when or where to put your next stitch. Okay. Now the third way, this will give you a nice crisscross all the way down the middle. So all the way around. Okay. The other way is to kind of only do it like halfway or 2/3 of the way. And you can fill in these here all through the same hole, maybe 5, maybe 7, depends on how deep you put your line. Okay. And then you do the rest exactly the same. So this right here will give you more of like a fan, like at the top, like more of like a satin stitch look. And then they keep going like this. So I'll show you both. I know it's quite a small, the leaves are small, okay? So if you're like, F this, I can't do it, then that's okay. Don't worry. You can use any of the other stitches. You can continue with the brick stitch and fill them all in. Also a really great choice. It looks really nice, a lot of texture. So if you like texture, that's for you. If you want to do just a regular satin stitch, like I suggested earlier, you can use these 2 colors. Do half and half, something like that. You can do 1 color, satin stitch the whole thing. Remember, parallel lines. Make your grid on the leaf so that you know. I'm looking for my thin one because this is a really thick pen. Do you know what I was using? Oh, there it is. I was using it yesterday. Okay, so let's turn. I'm actually going to take this hoop out and turn it to the side so that we can get a nice way to work here. Okay, so we're going to do this one first because it's the easiest. And we'll do the, not the first way that I showed you, but the first way that I do it. So we're going to have a nice crisscross from the very tip all the way down. All right, so the first thing we need to do is make our lines like I showed you on the paper. So we do 1 down the middle, yeah, and then 1 on each side. Do they have to be perfect? No. And we're going to use 4 strands just the same as the stem because we don't want to have tiny itty bitty, we don't want to be here forever ever, you know? Because your stitches will be really small already. Okay, I'm just putting the knot in and then we're good to go. And then zoom in. Okay, so for this one, remember I said we're gonna have a small stitch at the very, very tip, okay? Because remember, we want this fishbone to be from the tip all the way down to the very bottom. There we go. Okay. So one small stitch. I like to do the small stitch so you get that tip. Because otherwise, if you just start crossing, then it's going to look like that at the top. Okay? So now you can go on the left to the right or the right to the left. It doesn't matter. And remember, you're just going to this line here. Okay? So for this one, the angle that you start with, it doesn't matter. But whatever angle you choose, you're going to have to keep that up. So if you choose something that's quite, down like this, every stitch is going to be down like that. If you make it a bit more like that, then every stitch here is going to have that angle to it. Okay? So let's do it like that. Okay, and let's do the right side. So we're paying attention to the outside shape. So if you need to kind of fix up the shape of your leaves now, then do it. And even if that means going over and making them a little bit more plump, like chunky leaves, or making them a little bit thinner, that's okay too. So where this one goes, you can put your needle straight across, and that's exactly where it needs to be. Okay? And down there on that line. So you've got your first X. Now we go back to the left. And you're just moving one stitch down, right on the line. Okay, so this side, up, and then one stitch down on the line. Okay, and you can see you're getting this crisscross pattern. I really love this stitch, but it does take a long time. So that's why if you're like, oh, I really want to learn it, but I'm not doing it for all 10, it's okay. You don't have to. Try it on a couple. You can use a nice satin stitch for the rest. You can do an outline with a back stitch if you want to. You can do a whipped back stitch and outline them. There's all kinds of options if you're just can't be arsed. I caught the brick. Of course I did. It's always when you want to be a little bit fast and cocky that your thread is like honey. Humble. Be humble. And then you get a big knot and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. It is such a pretty stitch. I do really like it, but like I said, they do take a while. So I totally understand if you're like, nope. I'll do one or two, but that's it. Because sometimes it looks nice, but you get tired of it after number 5, Which is fine. That's normal. Now this is 4 strands as well. Same color as before. Could you do a different color? Of course. If you want to do a different color, do a different color. So pay attention to that outside line where it curves. You want to make sure because we're not going to outline these. So there's really no hiding if you if you've got one stitch way out here and one stitch way in here, then you're going to see that. You're going to see it in your leaf. So that's why I say, if you want to have a different leaf shape, make it before you start stitching so that you can follow that shape. So now we're almost done, and you'll find that the closer you get to the stem, the less space there is to crisscross. And that's okay. If you need to do a couple just regular straight stitches to kind of fill in the bottom shape of the leaf, you can do that too. And normally I just do 1 or 2 at the bottom through the same hole, and then it kind of makes like the bottom of the leaf nice, you know, like a nice shape to it. Okay, so there's one. I'm gonna turn it around like this. I'm gonna try my best and then zoom out so you can see how it looks like regular, you know, like how you would actually look at it. So there you go. So it's not so close. All right, that's what we've got. What do you think? Do we like it? I think they look really nice, but again, it's totally up to you, however you feel, you know? So let's do the other one. What is the leaf called that looks like it has a bone going down the middle? This one? This is called Fishbone. But I don't know about the bone going down the middle. If you see it, you can send it to me, and I'll see if I know what it is. So let's do the other one. So the other one that I showed you is where you have more of like almost like a satin stitch at the top. It's like the leaves we did yesterday where they all go through the same hole at the very tip to fill out that shape. So let's do that on another one. So let's grab maybe one of these over here. Or we'll do this one. That one's not bad. But again, I'm going to take it out and turn it so that you don't have to see me stitch it upside down, because that's just confusing. It starts with a sort of fly. Do you mean the fly stitch? Like we did in the last stitch along? You could do something like that as well if you wanted. We've already done the fly stitch for this stitch along, so I'm trying really not to repeat the stitches except for the satin stitch, because we use a different kind of technique for the satin stitch around these ones for this flower. So I'm trying hard to, let me see if I have it right here. I'm trying hard to give you a big mix. Is this one? Nope. Where's my teapot? I put a bunch of my stitch-alongs away. Now I can't find them. Oh well. I'm not going to waste time and look for it. Sorry. But it's probably the fly stitch that's just, yes, that's the one. The sunflowers in the basket stitch along. We did that too, actually. And I have that one here. That's the one I didn't stitch. Oh, Tori. You drive me crazy. Here. Like that. This one. Yeah. So that's really good for, if you want to do that one for this one, then I would use probably less strands, because you're only going to get a couple stitches filling that in with 4 strands. I'd probably use maybe 3. But try. Just try. Okay, let's do this one, and let's do the same way, yeah, the third way. So we're going to do a line down the middle, okay? And these ones are only going to go up to about there. And I know in the example, I did align only 2/3 of the way, or sorry, 1/3 of the way, but again, same hole. Okay, and we still need to fill more up, so actually I'm going to go a little bit lower, like literally a little bit. So we're just filling up the top right now. Okay, and then these ones will start to crisscross. Okay, and the only thing to watch with this one, this is so close. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. The only thing to watch with this one is your angle, because if you do your first stitch like this, you're gonna cut off the bottom here. So you just kind of wanna adjust it so that you still have a little bit of a crisscross, but you don't wanna like cut off what you've already done, you know? Which I'm probably gonna do with that one. Do as I say, not as I do, right? Since I've like forgotten some leaves over here. Oh. Okay, and then this one here will actually have more, like the last leaf we did, we had to do a couple straight stitches to kind of like fill it in. Yeah. This one right here, you might have a couple more straight stitches to fill in, but that's okay. You get the little fishbone at the very bottom. Looks a little classy. Just depends on how you've drawn them, how you've traced them, / how I've drawn them. Okay. I'm gonna do another one on each side. Okay, so let's zoom out again and we'll see what it looks like. It's a bit on an angle, but that's okay. Okay, so this one here, you can see the crisscross from the tip all the way down to the tip. And then this one here is a bit more satiny at this tip. And the crisscross is only a little bit there. So you can decide kind of what you like for each one and which way that you like to do it. Obviously, I'm not saying you can't do this way. If you feel like you need to go all the way to the edge because that helps you like visualize it better or something like that, then do it. That's fine. There's no reason why you can't do it that way. I just found that, especially if I'm doing really big leaves, it kind of... Stop it. Talking about teeth. Ugh. But yeah, I find that it just kind of wastes a lot of thread when you're doing bigger leaves. So these are quite small. So if you feel like, actually, I don't like that way, I just want to do it my way, you know, then you can. I usually like the look of the second way more, but for the tiny leaves, I like the first way more. Yeah, I think it definitely depends on like the shape of the leaf and how small they are. It just depends. But like I said, I've said it a million times. I'm not trying to deter you, I promise. They do take longer. So, you know, if you're like, oh, I don't know about this, just try a couple and see. Or if you've got scrap hoop, then try them on your scrap hoop. So that's a good thing that I like to have next to me, especially when I'm doing a stitch along, is just see kind of what something will look like. I can't tell you, before I did the Cozy Cottage one, the very first one I did, I can't tell you how many houses I did on tiny little hoops, just stitch the house, because I was so worried that it wasn't going to work. But also I wanted to try a lot of different techniques. So I didn't want to just do a plain satin stitch. I didn't want to do a brick stitch because, oh, it's a house, I'll put bricks on it, you know, that kind of thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they're actually the postcards that I made into a postcard. They're actually the postcards that you get in every order. And this is the house from the Cozy Cottage. So yeah, I've stitched so many of these houses with different techniques and stuff just to see like what they'd look like and like if they looked right, or especially since I was going to teach them teach it to someone else. I didn't want them to be like, Tori, you have lost it a little bit, babe. Why are you making us do this? This is awful. It doesn't work. It doesn't look nice. Yeah, so like it's nice to have a little scrap hoop there that you can just be like, hey, I'm gonna try this and just see if it works. And if it does, fantastic. If it doesn't, try something else. You know? Now we've got a pigeon in the backyard. It's like a zoo back here, man. I'm not gonna lie though, that fox scared me. I was like, oh my gosh, why is it out right now? Is it okay? Like, oh, it's a magpie. Picking up some sticks. It's like the size of its body, that stick it's trying to pick up. It's like Animal Planet, you know? I'm like giving you the lowdown of what's happening in my backyard. As if you guys care. Like, just stitch, Tori. Just be quiet and stitch. Oh, that's a bit too severe, I think. That's what I get for looking at the magpie and not my stitching. And I'm doing it upside down, so give me a break. And as I'm looking at this leaf doesn't look like it belongs to this one or this one. It looks like it belongs to both. So you can make it belong to whichever one you want. Meaning that normally the crisscross faces the stem. Okay, so like this one here, because the crisscross is going down towards this stem, it means it belongs to that leaf. And this one here, the crisscross faces this stem, so it means it belongs to this one. So for this one, you could make it belong to this one or this one because it's right in the middle, and the same for that one. So however you want to stitch it is okay. I don't know who drew this, but they did a crazy job. Like, man. There we go, though. So that's pretty much it. We did the brick stitch, 4 strands, and then we did the fishbone stitch 2 different ways. So obviously I tend to like the second way a little bit better. But yeah, you can do however you want, whatever way you want. So tomorrow we'll do the flowers. And then you can either do this tonight or you can do it tomorrow. I mean, I'll show you how to do it tomorrow as well. But we're going to fill in the middle just with some straight stitches, some little straight satin stitches with this orange color. And the orange, what? TST, oh, 3, 4, what was that? TSTS. 347, the orange color. So I can show you how to do that tomorrow too, but if you wanted to get a little bit ahead of the game and get prepped for the flowers, then you can do that as well. So it's literally just like that. How do you tackle the half leaves? In all caps. So the half leaves, if you wanted to do half one color and half the other color, you literally just stitch half in one color and half in the other color, just like we did for the satin stitch here, how we had them all be parallel. So you're just going to draw a line down the middle, make your grid. Yeah, if you have to do a lot, you can do a lot. Okay, and you're going to do half in one color and half in the other color. So I would probably do the dark color on the bottom and stitch that, and then the lighter color on the top and stitch that. So you just do your grid with the satin stitch, just like we did before over here. Fill it in half. That's it. Okay. Okie dokie. So I would probably use, like I said earlier, the Star 214 and the color that we used for the long 876, these ones, because they look really nice together, but you can use any color combination that you want. Yeah. So I will finish those later. So I'm all caught up for tomorrow. I think she means the ones that are cut off. So exactly the same as we've been doing. You're just going to do your stitches the halfway, or you can do them and fill in the whole thing and stitch over top. So like these, yeah, you're just going to put your first stitches up to the line, and then the other ones crisscrossy. Same as this one. Yeah, these ones would start crisscrossy. So crisscross. Crisscross. Okay. Is that a better explanation? Because I know I was talking about the half. But yeah, you just pretend like you've done that part. And you just go straight to the crisscrossing. And then it will look like it's right behind. So there we go. That's it for me today. Let's zoom out so you can see what we've done so far. And that's it. So make sure you're tagging me at The Barmy Fox. Use the hashtag TheBarmyFoxSAL. You can also tag Anchor. They've been sharing some things as well. So that's great. I love seeing them share your work. So tag them and use the hashtag Anchor Threads, Anchor Crafting, or Anchor Crafts. And hopefully they will repost all your stuff, because honestly, you guys are blowing me away and you deserve it. So enjoy and have a nice Wednesday. All right. Bye.